So then moving on towards the final composition, we have a floor, which is probably best left outside the trackball because we probably want to be able to move this around but not move our floor around. So for that, again, I'm just going to use a cube. And we're going to set its height to say 0.1 to create, or maybe 0.05 again, to create like a thin floor level. Going to drop its Y position down, and then we're just going to expand its width and depth so that we get this kind of floor object that the model is sitting on. Maybe we'll drop it a little bit lower so the model doesn't bang into it. That gives us a nice shadow. Looks a bit boring, but so we can put a texture onto it. This grunge 15. But basically any sort of grunge texture you can find on Stock Exchange or anywhere at all will do rightly. So just put that onto the top image because that's the upward facing image of our floor, and you can see we've kind of got that nice rocky looking. You can fiddle around with a few different bits and pieces. What I did with all this is I kind of wanted to animate this as a single object. So basically these movie files and these input splitters, if we want to be able to get to them at a higher level, we can do a thing called publishing the inputs. So if I just publish the image input as 3D model texture, and then I'm going to publish this input as video wall input, and then we just grab these two video files, cut them, and then we come up a level in the hierarchy and we can paste them here. And then to be able to animate some transitions with the 3D model without affecting the floor, I'm going to add another 3D transform and just stick this guy inside here, and again publish up those two inputs that we want, and then I can reconnect 3D model texture image and my video wall input image, and you see it's back to how it was, but now using a controller such as say an LFO. I'm going to connect this to rotation, so set the amplitude and offset to 180, and the period, this is basically how long each rotation is going to take, so I'm going to set that to 16. Connect the result of that to rotation Y, and now we have our screen sort of spinning independently. A bit of movement that way would be nice too, so we just duplicate the LFO and I'll set the period off the other one, and this one I'm just going to go for like a little 20-degree wobble, so 10 degrees amplitude and offset, and put that on rotation X, and we'll just reset that trackball. So now you see the screen is kind of dipping and spinning in like quite a nice sort of organic-y type way. So the final effect in the initial composition I showed you is a kind of flickering light effect. So you'll see here in the light you have an attenuation, which isn't fully printed there. See, light attenuation, and this basically controls the focus of the light. One, it's off, so like 0.03. This is a very small range in that attenuation, but we can basically connect a controller object to that. So to figure out the numbers, I'm going to use interpolation. So that end value I'm going to put, say, 0.125, duration 1, loop, and just connect that to attenuation. And let's maybe even too much, so 0.05. Expand that loop out slightly. Up here we'll just reset the clear to black so you can kind of get a better idea of what's going on. Still seems a bit dark to me, so we can add a second light to the scene in here, and then we'll position this light 3, and then we're going to turn it down ever so slightly to just so we kind of get a then you sometimes need to play with the positioning of the second light just so it doesn't cast any ugly shadows. And again, I think I sort of dirtied the colour a bit of the lighting on mine, so I'll do an input splitter on light 1 colour, connect it to light 2 colour, and then go for a wee bit of a sort of tobacco-y, dirty tint. And then the final part of the scene was, rather than using a flat clear as a black, you can use a gradient. And just get that, make sure it's the library render gradient. Okay, so just within Quartz Composer you can see these little numbers in the boxes, and these are all rounded render objects. So 1, 3, 2. Basically this is like a layer, so if you want to see stuff you need to have it behind the gradients and the clears will block your other things. So that's just a little caveat. That's normally why I add the clear first, so that everything goes on top of that. To create the effect I blackened everything out, and then I used the same kind of dirty fairy light that I'd used there. And then this interpolation, just publish the input of light 1 attenuation and cut this, pop up a layer, paste it, and this is just going to allow us to control the color of the gradient and the light from the single controller. So reconnect that up there, and then to get it to mess with a color, there's an RGB color patch which has an alpha input. So we just connect this. This is going from 0 to minus 0.1. It's not going to make such a difference on the RGB color, so I'm just going to multiply it by 10, which will then give us a range of 0 to 1 to connect to the alpha color output to color 1, and we should get, no, we need to do more than times 10, need to do times 100, I think. Yep. So there we go. This color is being controlled now by red, green, blue, not the nice offset color we created. So just have a look at it in red, green and blue in the color picker, and we can see here that something like that is what we're doing. And we've got that now kind of doing what the start was doing. So basically now this interpolation, if we give it an external time base, it means it can be modified by an external source. And I'm going to put an audio in, audio input. I'm going to connect this volume peak to patch time, start the track, and basically it's not quite kicking enough, but because this is on a duration of 4, so I'm going to set this to duration of 1, and that just means the 0 to 1 volume peak range coming out of here will match up with the 0 to 1 range of the published interpolation patch. So now I'm going to start the music. Well done if you managed to survive that whole tutorial. It's pretty long. Have fun, and hopefully I'll see you in Rome.